So I wanted to make more of these videos, but things have been having a bit of a shit time lately. That's what I would get from the mood that I've been in other videos that I've made recently-ish. So I thought, well, yeah, I'm not going to make videos anymore if I'm in a bad mood, because yeah, I've made a couple more, but then I decided not to upload them. But I don't mind making them, because it's been like a nice little diary for me anyway, so I can look back on, even if I don't upload them. So what I'm working on today is this. It's a BSR record changer out of the Kriesler radiogram that I've been working on restoring. So I've been meaning to get to this for ages, but things being the way they are at the moment and everything, I just haven't, yeah. So I thought I'd take a bit of time to sit down and have a nice relaxing thing and get this thing going. So you can see there are a number of issues with this. I'm not sure if this is like rubber or plastic or what. It's like maybe like vinyl rubber or something like that. The mat on the turntable has warped and sort of gone really brittle as well, so that's got to be fixed. And obviously, because this has been where I live, is very hot, and this has been in a shed where it got not only water damage, but you know, it's like right now is the middle of summer and it's been quite cool summer this year, but usually you get like mid-40s, like, you know, might get like 45 degrees some days, and you get months of that. So, you know, sitting out in a hot shed baking away, and you know, this stuff like this will warp. Seen rubber things like little rubber feet and stuff on the bottom of things I've seen literally melt. So that's how hot it gets here, and so that's one thing that's got to be fixed. It hasn't seized, surprisingly, not completely anyway. So I mentioned in the other video, even though despite the amount of water damage and how old it was and everything, a bloke had bodged on a power cord and plugged it in when I bought the thing off of him, and he had this thing running and it was spinning and everything, and he said to me, it's going to need a new stylus. And I look and I'm like, no, that's going to need a new cartridge and stylus, because this had one of the original crystal cartridges. And I'll say crystal, I mean I hear a lot of people call some types of ceramic cartridges crystal cartridges, but this had the actual type of crystal cartridge, which used some type of salt. I think it has like piezoelectric effect or something. And what happens with those is they, over time from humidity in the air, they absorb that and they just go bad. And given the amount of water damage that this thing had, you know, this is bound to be knackered. So that's gone, that's been thrown out, and it was one of the flip over cartridges. Not the, when I say flip over, I don't mean, I just dropped something. I don't mean ones with the flip over stylus. I mean the actual entire cartridge flipped over, so you have 75 and a LP, and the cartridge itself was mounted inside of this, so here's a little bracket that was in. I shall put it there because I know that this spot's actually focused. So this flat bit was screwed in on the underside to the top of this, and the cartridge just slotted onto this, and then it's got a little knob that sticks out through the front of here with a little flag on it, and it's got 75 and LP on the opposing sides. And this was so bad with the amount of corrosion and just an all gunk from the crystal dissolving all over it, that I just couldn't get the cartridge out. So I had to put this, the only way I could get it out was to put this into the ultrasonic cleaner to loosen everything. So I got that out, and now I've got the bracket here, but I'm not going to be using this, so that's no good. You can still get those flip over cartridges. They do still make them. I think West sell them. The wholesaler, one of the wholesalers in Australia that sell parts and stuff for, you know, televisions and stereos and stuff like that. But they cost a lot of money though. I'd probably be looking at well over $50 once shipped, and yeah, that's a bit more I want to spend on this thing. And even just your standard generic cartridges with the little flip over stylus in them, they still make. Those cost a lot of money as well. So I was looking at the different cartridges I had available to me to buy, and they were pretty much everything's expensive. You'd be looking well over $30 for most, and I thought, no. So I've picked up a couple of these. These are $2 from China, and by all accounts I've heard these are really, they're ceramic obviously, but these, from what I've heard, are no better or worse than the original ceramic cartridges that they had back in the day. So I'm going to have to find a way to mount one of these in there. I've got an idea and I've got something figured out, so hopefully that should be good. So also all the mechanical stuff in this has got to be worked on. I've already been underneath and cleaned everything underneath and removed all the grease, because what happens is with these, the grease goes, it dries out and goes like glue, like really sticky and hard, and you have to get it off, because what happens is the mechanisms all seize up. So I've taken all that off, cleaned it off, and it's got some of this lithium grease onto it, just in some of the spots where there are like parts, you know, friction moving together. In those areas where you sort of do need grease, I put this on there. This stuff's pretty alright, I reckon it is anyway. It tends to get things clean as well as lubricate, and it sticks around. It doesn't sort of, you know, evaporate away. It stays where you spray it on. It's lithium grease. You're not supposed to get it on plastic like this, because supposedly it eats plastic, but I mean, it's the spray nozzle is plastic, and it's gonna break some stuff. Spray nozzle is plastic and it doesn't get eaten away, so who knows? That's just what you see people say online, but you know, people online, people are full of shit, so who knows? So I do avoid getting it on plastic. So normally you don't really need to use grease on these turntables. You would normally use just some, I've got some somewhere around here there. Normally you just use some sewing machine oil. I've got this stuff, which is, I don't recommend this stuff at all. The one I would use is the Singer brand one. You used to be able to just get it from like Woolies, but I went to Woolies and this was all I had. This is some weird off-brand, and this stuff's horrible. See, the nozzle on it is that's just hopeless, and this stuff absolutely stinks. It's got some fragrance or something in it, and it smells absolutely revolting. But what I've also got is, this is a little bottle of oil that came with a pair of hair clippers, and this stuff's got no smell to it. This stuff seems pretty good. I had another little bottle of this. It came with an electric razor that just ran out, and I found this when I was tidying up out in the bathroom, and I'm clearing out the cupboards and stuff, and I found this in a box of stuff where hair clippers were, so I thought I'll grab that and use it. So normally I use something like this anyway, so I'll get to that when I actually get to the mechanisms and stuff. so far I've also had this plastic bit off the top here and gotten this part out and lubricated this and cleaned it a bit. This is what it uses when you put a record on top and then you put this down. This sits on top of it and holds it flat. You turn it on to, you flip it over to reject, and what happens is it kicks in, turns on, and the record drops down and pushes on this, and as it pushes on that, that triggers the part of the mechanism that senses the size of the record that you've put on there, because you've put obviously you have small 45s and you have the LPs and all of that, so then it needs to know where it's going to move the tone arm to put down to start playing, because it's a fully automatic changer. You can stack up a number of records on top, which I don't really do that, because I found that as you stack them up, the stylus pressure changes with the height of the stack, and it does things that just doesn't seem to work that well. I've tried on a number of these changes that I've got. This one's BSR, I don't know if I mentioned that before. So this is probably from around 1961. These really haven't changed that much over the years. I think I made these up until the 80s. They changed in appearance somewhat, but in terms of the mechanisms and everything, they pretty much all stay the same. The tone arm's improved quite a lot. This one's a bit shitty. I'll get to that as well when I do the stylus and the cartridge and all that stuff. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get the platter off, which I've already had off, which is why this middle plastic bit's loose. Normally you've got a circlip on here that holds a platter down. That's already been removed. I only just put this back on because I thought I should take this. So this platter there is a nice metal one. It's not cheap shit plastic. And you can see the mechanism inside. Can you see them? Let me check. You can. Everything's just filthy and gunked up and just horrid. So I'll go over what I've got to do now. They're all pretty much the same. These are very similar to the older Garrard turntables. Are very much the same as these BSRs as well, where you have this big cog thing, so like a cam thing, that underneath here there's a groove in the bottom of this, which drives there's a little thing that sticks up in there, and as this turns around, this moves that, that's what drives. This thing is pissing me off. That's what drives the tone arm, makes it move back to its home position when the record finishes, and moves it when it has to on the auto mode to start playing and stuff. So what happens when they seize up, which I'm surprised this didn't. This is a little bit seized though. So grease goes hard, so these have to come off. Sometimes you have to use like a heat gun or a hairdryer to heat them up so that you can loosen them enough to get them off. In this case, I don't reckon this one's going to be too bad. This does actually turn as very, very, very stiff and hard. This little metal bit here should be completely loose. This is, I think, something to do with the auto stop. It's a little gunky, but it does seem to work. But that'll have to come off too. So I'll take this off and take that off of this. Clean those, lubricate everything. So it's just a little circlet there that comes off. So that's that. So I've got the idler here. This is just like a little, the motor is directly underneath here. You've got this, is that showing up on the thing? It's not showing up on the thing. Just in here, there's like a capstan type thing, and you've got this rubber roller, which surprisingly the rubber hasn't gone bad on, which is a good thing. and when you change the speed change mechanism, it moves the idler up and down, and you see on this little capstan thing it's tapered in its thickness, so each step moves it either up or down. So if you're going faster, it moves it down to the larger thickness, and you go slower speeds, it moves it up. And this rubber wheel sits on the inner rim of this, and is what spins this around. And the other major problem, aside from just cleaning and lubrication and stuff, is which one was showing up? It was that one. So this is what the motor sits on. These, there are 3 of them, these 3 little rubber bushings, and yuck. They've gone and turned into crap from being compressed for years and heat and everything. They've just melted and degraded and broken down. So these should sit all the way up like this and hold the motor up, and then the motor rests on top of these. The motor isn't screwed to the chassis at all, it just rests on top of these by these little circlips and just sits there. The reason they put it on these little rubber bushings is to isolate the motor from the chassis, because if the motor were bolted to it, the vibration from the motor would go through the chassis and get picked up by the tone arm. So it has to sit on these little rubber bushings, and these I don't have any of, not these exact ones anyway. It shouldn't really matter actually what I replace them with, so long as they're the right height to hold it up. I can probably just use them whatever grommets I find that'll fit. You can actually get the bushings that are used for this, which they're just like a little sort of, they're like a little, I've got some other ones somewhere I'll show later. Those I don't know the proper name of to actually find them. I have actually found ones that are for these old turntables, but they're not being sold as the generic thing that they are. Rather, they're being sold as a turntable part, and because I guess other people like me who can't find the actual part by what its proper name is, only managed to find these sale listings for these bloody grommet things for these turntables, so they charge a stupid price of them. I think instead of 3 of them, something like, works out to be something like $20 or $30 to buy from, I think it was eBay where I found them, after shipping, and I refused to pay that much for 3 fucking little rubber grommets. That's absolute bullshit. So I'm just gonna bodge something, I don't care. I'm just like, just so in principle of the whole thing, just overcharging for these frigging things that probably cost, they're probably like 10-cent parts, little 10-cent rubber things, if I knew the actual name of them to know where to buy them from. So all I'm going to use is just some other stuff that I've got lying around. I've got some other stuff that I'm going around in circles now anyway, it doesn't matter. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the idler off, clean up all, I'll take the idler off, take the other wheel off over here and clean everything there. So everything underneath and also the spindle has all been cleaned and lubricated, so it's all just this top part now that I'm going to work on. And I'm going to take this motor out, possibly take that apart and clean that as well, and see what I can do about putting that back in, and then I'll get to the cartridge and all of that stuff, because I've got further plans, and yeah, and also figure out what I'll do about that plastic, the plastic rubber slip mat thing on the turntable, because I've got an idea for that too, so I shall be back in a sec. I'm just going to pop these little circlips off now for these. Let's start with that one. I wish I could take this thing off. That keeps getting in the way of the window. That came off very easily. So I see that's really tight. See, that shouldn't be this tight, but it's coming off. Sometimes these you have to get like a heat gun, or sometimes a hairdryer works, but where are we? It's showing up. You can see it says it's got all white stuff there. It's like crusty. Looks like salt or something, so water's gotten in or something. I guess that wouldn't be water leaking from rain, that'd have to be like tap water, I guess, if it's got like salts and stuff, but that doesn't really matter that much. But also you can see the little groove where this part here sits in as it turns around. The teeth mesh into the shaft on the platter. You can see the grease in there, it's just turned into glue, and also down the center of this. So what I'll have to do is I'll have to clean off this, and I'm not going to put grease back on that. I'll just put oil onto that. I will put some grease in here though, because that bit does seem to stay lubricated a lot better, because it's always easy to just put a few drops of oil in things now and then like this, you know, but to get underneath and in here you got to take it all off, so I'll put grease there just for that reason. Oh yeah, and also this little metal thing here, this is going to have to come off too, because it does seem okay, like but these two separate parts should move loosely and freely, and they're gunked up too, so this will have to come off and get cleaned. So that aside, I'll take this idler thing off as well. So I was just about to say something and I forgot what it was. Must have been important. Oh man. Come on, get that off. So these have two little these like little anti-friction O-ring type washer things. One sits on top, one on the bottom. So they come off. You don't lose those, because that stops the metal rubbing against metal. And it's the same with this bit here. I won't put grease on that, I'll just put a drop of oil in the top of onto the shaft. So I'll clean this rubber wheel off. That looks absolutely perfect. The edges haven't, the rubber hasn't dried out, the edges haven't gone cracked up, and it's not flaking away and going like rubber does, so that's surprising and that's good. I mean, most of the ones that I've come across have been good, but the only reason I say that that's surprising is because the state of everything else in this thing. So this, I don't know, I don't think I'll bother to take that off. So everything now those are out, so what I'll do now is I'll clean, actually, I'll take the motor off as well. So I just have to get the motor out now, and then all I have to do is clean. And I can show the motor as well. It's a, come on. I hate these stupid circlip things. It's not like they're hard to get off, but it's hard to like when they stay still and they keep turning around. Especially like they you're not careful, you push on, they like to go flying, and then they get lost forever, and then I get really annoyed and start saying bad words that have 4 letters in them. But I do that even when I'm in a good mood, so I don't know. You can get a proper tool for removing these, but I just use a screwdriver just to push them off. Because I don't sort of, remove that many of these things on a regular basis enough to buy the right tool. So I've got the motor off. Raise this up. Just let it hang there by a thread, okay. There's a motor and that runs off of 240. Goes into here. So 240 at 50 Hertz. It's one of these little induction type things. Anyway. And just briefly, I'll show this before, because I'm just about to go and have something to eat and plug the camera back into charge. So while I'm out in the kitchen, what I'm going to do is have a go at what I've thought of to try and soften this plastic back up to get it to sit flat and all that, because even though it's a little bit fragile and cracked, but if it was sitting flat it'd be okay, and if it were cleaned up, you can see it's really filthy, full of dirt and dust, and it has these cracks. And I think it is like a soft rubbery plastic type of I'm not sure what you would call it, and it's like vinyl rubber or something, I don't know, but you can see on the bottom it's like one of these, it's whether it's got the tabs and they melt it down. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to get, it's probably going to sound stupid and crazy, I'm going to get a big soup pot and fill it with boiling water and put it on the stove, and I'm going to drop this in there, and in theory what I'm hoping is that, says the plastics stuff's gone and warped all out of shape and everything. I'm hoping that the heat of that will be enough to both soften it back up and make it sit flat. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a couple of wooden boards and put them on top, and then I'm just going to get some clamps and clamp that down flat as it cools, and hopefully that will get it to take the right shape that it's supposed to have originally had. I reckon that'll work well. And hopefully, yeah. And what I might also do is, if that is successful, then once I take the clamps and the boards off and it's set in place, what I might do is get some glue or something underneath just to hold it down flat, and also might chuck it in a bucket of water, because it's nice and sunny at the moment, so I might chuck some laundry stain remover like nappy sand into a bucket with some water, just some, I'd say warm water, because it's summer, so I don't have a choice. You turn a cold tap on, you get boiling hot water out of it pretty much in this town. So some warm water and leave that soaking out in the sun, and then what will happen, the sun will bleach this all back nicely with the stain remover in there. So it's not actually technically, that's how they get away with saying, oh, this product isn't bleach when they sell these products. It technically isn't bleach, it's just like a precursor to bleach, so it really is bleach. I think it's sodium bicarbonate or something like that. It breaks down into hydrogen peroxide. But yeah, anyways, that's one of those bullshit things that companies do to make their product sound good and make it sound like something that it's not. And yeah, this isn't bleach, so it's not going to hurt your clothes, but it actually is bleach. It just turns into bleach when it's in a machine. But anyways, alright, so while I was waiting for the camera to charge, I've taken the motor apart, and is that showing? Yes, it is. A bit more over here. Can't really see the back of the camera where it's positioned. I know some people, when they make their videos, do it from straight behind the camera and work with the camera right in front of them through the camera. I can't do that. So I said I was going to make these videos. You know, it has to be, so I don't want it to be a big sort of thing that makes it more difficult for me to do what I want to do, because this is why, sort of what I do to relax and everything. And so yeah, it's a compromise having it over here rather than in front of this. So anyway, that's kind of not really relevant. So you've got inside the motor, it's like an induction motor, so it's a bit like a transformer core, and you've got your windings over like a plastic bobbin thing, and it's, you know, it's laminated and everything. A lot like a transformer, and sort of the construction, and I'm guessing the way it works a bit as well. But we've got here is the what's the name? I don't know all the proper names for these things, so yeah, I don't know how they work, I just don't know the proper names and stuff, because, yeah, anyway, if I sound stupid or anything, but, so anyway, this comes apart easily, so you've just got your core in here, which way was it? It was bolted onto this little steel plate through these bolts, and you have, yeah, that's the bottom one, so it sits on there, and you have this bit here, it sits inside the center like that, and then this bit bolts down onto the top. So this has got those, so this was really filthy, so I've just cleaned it as best I can. Taken it apart and just got a rag with some methyl and just cleaned it, because it was covered in all grease and grossness and gunk. And this motor doesn't need grease at all. So these two end bits, so there's a capstan thing. I'm not sure if they actually called that in this particular use, but I'm used to calling it that in a cassette deck. But so that's on the end of the motor there, and directly driven by the motor. There's no belts or anything in this thing, and you've got this as the bottom piece here, and so the bottom of this part sits in there, and it's one of those sort of bearings. It's like a ball thing. It's like a, how would I describe? It's like a hip joint sort of thing, you know? Like you got a ball thing, and this sits inside of that, and so that can sort of tilt and everything when you, I guess, for tolerances and stuff when it's being assembled. And it just sits in, it just have the metal bit there sitting inside of that metal bit there. That's it. There's no ball bearings or anything like that. So it's a nice, you know, it's a fairly simple motor, and it's the same deal with this top one here. So to go straight through this one. So I've just cleaned these out completely. There's some like degreasing stuff in there, and cleaned it, and then all you need in here is you just need a drop of oil on the end of this shaft, and that's it. You don't need any grease, you don't need anything on these. That's all you need. And that's it. So this motor's going to go back together now. Oh man. Oh, I put this upside down. This is supposed to go on top, and do this stuff. Back on the Minder sometimes, seriously. I don't know how the hell. I can't believe I did that. Anyways. Press again for about the 9 millionth time. That seems good. It's not scraping or anything. I can see. It still feels a little greasy and grotty, so I'm gonna give it another wipe over, but there we go, that's good. That should be nice and quiet, and it's able to spin freely. No, it's not grinding or anything, it's nice. So that's that done. Now just gotta worry about mounting it now. So got those little rubber grommets out. They actually just look to be regular rubber grommet things. I thought these were hang on, I've actually got some of what I think they were. They're the wrong size, but what I thought they were, there's one. I thought they were actually these types of things, which is why I thought that's a problem, because these I couldn't find the correct types of, and I actually did see some of the ones I saw online were these types, but oh, these are the wrong size, these are too small. But I was thinking I've got these ones, so these might do it, but these might be too small too, and these are, yeah. These came out of a CD players or something like that, I can't remember. Given they're just regular grommets, so the only ones I've got are these huge ones. These won't fit either, so yeah, I don't know. Once I sort of squish that over that, it might actually I'll be back. I'm going to try this out, so I just want to clean out just in the centre of it. I'll just use an earbud to just put some metho on it. It's mostly all I've been using on this is just metho to clean shit off. Some of the really bad parts I've used acetone, but I find acetone works a lot better than metho for cleaning stuff, but it's not very good for some plastics and rubber. It'll melt, so I would only use that in a sort of extreme case with something like this. So these little friction washer things go back on. So there's one that goes underneath and this goes back on top. Actually, before I put it on, just put a drop of oil. That's all you need, just a drop. Put some underneath as well. What's going on here? That's what's going on here. There we go. That's good, so the other one goes on top, and then there's another circlip that goes on top. It should be, unless I lost it, which I probably did, but there it is. Let's use a little bit of alcohol because I accidentally got some oil onto this. So just get that oil off of that. You don't want oil on that, it'll slip. And same for the little shaft thing. We'll see how that goes. So it's set to 33. So so on 78, that's just on the bottom roller. And then we'll go up 45, 33. And 16. So this is, yeah, it might need, the motor's probably going to need to sit up a little bit higher. So these on their own aren't quite enough, but it's okay, I might just stick another grommet or something under that. Oh, here's some. So I tried another of couple of different ones that I had there, and I found some that actually are almost perfect. So I say almost because, see, they're not quite right, but they'll do the job for now. I'm just gonna have to get some, order some, just had to get like a packet of generic assorted washers, grommets or something from China, because I'm not going to find any locally. Anyway, so that seems to put the idler up onto the right notches of the thing now. It's just a bit loose because the plutter's not in there. Speaking of the plutter, so I'll actually zoom out a little. Focused, I think we're focused. That came out reasonably well. So it came out, got it nice and flat, and it's dried off, and it looks a lot better. That'll do the job for playing a record on. That's fine for that. It looks a little bit shitty, but I didn't expect it to be perfect. So it's going to need a bit of it does look quite shit, and I don't know if I'm going to leave it on there. For now I am, but permanently I don't know. I haven't cleaned it properly, so I have to give it a good proper clean and shit first before I figure out. But for now it's not a big deal. This will do the job now pretty well. And it didn't actually soften up that much. It's actually still not like really hard, but it's good enough, and it doesn't look terrible, so that's good. So all I do is finish cleaning in here and get this back on, which also, while the camera was flat, I popped this off and gave this a clean. It's all nice and loose. Cleaned out of here. This was just gunked full of bad grease and other stuff, and these bits I haven't cleaned off yet, so I'll just use a bit of methyl again. It's not even showing on the camera yet. Oh, this is probably going to get cut out anyway, so this is going to end up being like a 2-hour long video, but yeah, anyways, I don't know, that's good enough, that's cleaned up enough, well enough. I just want to make sure that these don't have bad grease left on them. Just quickly clean in underneath where that thing's going to go back on. The other thing I want to do is get on here a bit of this grease. See, it comes out as like a white grease. and this stuff's good, it stays where it's supposed to stay. Sure, there are probably a lot of people who will say, oh, you shouldn't use that. You're breaking things, I don't know, but I found it works really well, so I use it. Anyway, you don't need any grease in here, just put oil in here. So I'll put a drop in there. And that's... There's something underneath here that's not lining in or something. Hang on. Let's see. This little bit of the thing doesn't want to cooperate. There we go. Just had to push that thing in a little. There we go. See how freely that goes now. It was tight and tough before. It wouldn't turn before without a lot of exercise. So that's that done. So just got the clip back on there, and that's good. Just clean the rest of this, and then you can put the top back on and see what happens. Actually, I just realised I forgot to get the freaking bearing off of there and clean that properly. So I'm not fucking around pulling that off again. So I'm just gonna get under here and just lift it like this and just wipe all the gunk out of here. Just spray some lithium grease in there. I'll do the job, that'll get it done. There we go, good enough. Gunked, still. You really need to get all the dirt and stuff out of these things too, but you know, it's like, man, if I have any issues I'll just take it apart and do it again properly, but it should be fine. There we go, that should be good enough, so I'll finish cleaning this and then get the thing back. Right, everything is reasonably clean, so what I'll do is just get... The annoying thing about this one is with this one the spindle don't come out. The later BSR ones you can actually take that out and just put a little just for a single record, but this one you have to release a little talking like a Chinese person, you have to release a little spring clip on the bottom. So, hang on, where does that sit? There we go. That sounds a bit crusty. Didn't put any oil on that either, so I might have to clean that bearing properly. Can I just pop that thing back off? It's actually not. Should have just done that to start with. So it's bloody not as difficult as I tend to tell myself things are going to be. So the bearing that this sits on is absolutely filthy, and it's all gunked up with dirt and stuff, which is that noise you could just hear. So there's that lithium grease has kind of released all of that dirt and everything. So there's another little washer thing down around here. So this bit you have to make sure you get it cleaned properly as well. This normally I don't go to this much sort of you know, effort of having to pull everything out and greasing it and stuff, but usually they're not as bad as this one. This one has some really serious damage to it. I mean, most people would have just seen this and just went, nah, bugger it, and just, you know, chucked it out. But there's not that much to these old record players, and it's like, well, they're not that difficult to fix, so why would you throw them out? So that's that one's clean. So look at that, it's all shiny stainless, it looks like. So ideally you would repack all of this with new grease. The thing is, I don't have any. Not this type of grease anyway. I've used Vaseline before, it actually works really well, but couldn't do something like that on YouTube. I always have a bunch of people come telling me I'm an idiot, but it does work if you can't find anything else to use. Or you can just be like me and just be lazy and not even bother to go to that extent, just spray lithium grease in and fucking everything. That's the job done, why not? There we go. So what I'm just going to do is the grease, it's still got all grease in it, so I'm just going to put a drop of oil in there and that'll be right. So this normally all I do is just put a drop of oil into here, but yeah, normally they're not this filthy, so there we go. Let's try that again. A drop of oil on here, and is this even recording? Yes. There we go. Lovely. And I'll spin on all that oil, get through. Pretty much ready to plug it in and see if the see if that motor makes it spin. And before I give it a real proper clean off and make it look nice and stuff. I'm gonna get the cartridge in too, but that one's going to be a bit of a pain in the ass, so that might require a bit more thought. But I should be alright. So see what I'll get to anyway. Did it again, I didn't put the fucking thing back on. This is the I'm just like brain dead lately. There we go. So, there we go. So I'm just gonna now figure out how I'm gonna power it up, whether I'm gonna either bodge together a death cord or whether I'll drag it into the actual cabinet and connect it properly. I'm thinking just go with a death cord because, you know, I'm a big head like that. Oh, alright. There we go. You think a smart person wouldn't just put the clip and everything back on until they sort of verified that it works, but yeah. Okay, so now I've got just temporarily, oops, since it's just for a test it's okay, I've got, these are just these little wire screw terminal things just terminating the wires together. I'll put tape around it just in case the live screws in no short to anything. I wouldn't leave something like this. Since it's just for a test, it's okay. I just got that onto a power cord, so because this actually taps off of the mains in the amplifier chassis, so hopefully nothing will blow up and there won't be any fireworks or anything. Actually, before I turn it on, I might quickly check with the multimeter, just make sure nothing's shorted out. Shouldn't be anything shorted. Nope. That's the power off. I turn it on. And it's about 313 ohms that reads. Seems legit, so that'll be the winding of that induction motor. So this does actually run directly from the mains, so it doesn't actually run off any DC or anything. So the other I feel like I'm supposed to say that, you know, this is dangerous, you shouldn't try to do stuff like this, but I think if you don't understand already why electricity is dangerous and why it'll kill you and why doing something like this is dangerous, if you don't know what you're doing, then chances are you're probably going to inadvertently remove yourself from the gene pool at some stage anyway. So I mean, you know, yeah, so there's no smoke or anything, that's always a good thing. That does, I don't know if that's running at the right speed. Actually, this doesn't look as flat as it's supposed to be. Yeah, that does look like it doesn't seem to be running at the right speed. It's nice and quiet. That's on 16 RPM. It's 33. I reckon it does look, it looks about right. You can't tell without a stroboscope disc. I'm aware there's an app that you can install on a phone that shows you the rotational speed of one of these if you put it on using the what's it called, the inertia sensor thing, but I can't remember what it's called, and I can't install apps on my phone because I removed all the Google store and all of that stuff because I don't trust Google, and it's like, well, I have to have a phone. It's either them or Apple. Apple are just as bad, well, maybe not as bad, but they're pretty bad, and their stuff's overpriced and I can't afford it anyway. Well, I used to have an iPhone and stuff, but they're shit. Android's even worse, but anyway, who cares? I'm not making a video about that. So, right, so I want to see what I can do about this cartridge now, and then I'll figure out about what's the deal with the speed and all of that stuff. So yeah.